Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Today we're continuing our series of a walk through Batman Arkham City. And today I have with me FatNinja DM, who is our co-host, working, alongside me while I play this game and show someone who's most likely not as huge of a Batman fan what we really value in the Batman gaming community and what it's all about. And Mr. Fat Ninja, go ahead and introduce yourself for people who are just joining this series and let them know who you are.
Okay, well, like Gamey Daddy said, I'm Fat Ninja DM, chilling like a super villain, and my mission statement is simple. Just try to have a positive attitude when you're gaming. Don't be a prick. Just help people out when they need help, and just be an all-around good person. Cause this world right now definitely needs some good people.
Yeah, I second that. I definitely second that. So we are in Batman Arkham City, and for those of you who are, just following this or joining this for the first time, Mr. Fat Ninja DM is basically a Marvel fan, but he's already said, he's down with Batman nonetheless because there are some unique attributes to the character. And so what I'm doing is I'm playing Batman Arkham City, showing him the game, just kind of walking him through while he kind of, watches and, sees and, evaluates the game because Gotham Knights is going to be coming on the horizon very soon. And, what the implications are for that game, being that this game has kind of, this game has kind of already set the stage for what superhero games will look like, in the future. So we're over here in this little Sionis factory. This is where Batman is still trying to navigate his way to finding, the threat, the Joker. I mean, this is not something that we are not aware of. In fact, we all know that he's looking for the Joker right now. So, Mr. Fat Ninja, what do you think so far from the gameplay that we've had? We've played for about an hour, approximately. And what are your own impressions about this game so far?
I definitely like what they got going on here in this game. Just the simple mechanics of and just the combat and how Batman moves through the environment. You feel like Batman. It's not like, okay, well, we're just gonna slap the Batman name on this Batman game and then not even embrace what it is to be Batman, because that would be just totally stupid to have a superhero game with a superhero in it and it not be superhero esque. Speaking
uh,
to you once again, Superman 64.
uh,
I
Superman
love bringing that.
64. Superman 64 is not gonna hear the end of it, huh?
Oh man, that was a superhero trash, garbage, and nuclear fire all in one time.
Whew.
Uh, but no, it just the little nuances of how Batman moves through the environment, and using every single thing that Batman has in his arsenal, his combat prowess, his detective skills, and his unwavering determination to see things through the end. So yeah, they really encompassed the essence of Batman.
Hmm. Hmm. You say that, and we fans, we just kind of play, just with this awe in our faces, like, man, this is really, really, really good. We just have this eye that it's like, man, this is such a good game, man. This is crazy. We're not really looking at the detail because there's a lot of awe that this kind of stuff really, inspires, in a player and as a fan too. That awe, in a sense, you miss the things that other people can appreciate if they're not fans, if they're coming with a more critical eye. And so the things that you're saying, they do resonate more and even better now because I'm playing the game and you're watching and you're saying things and I'm thinking like, wow, I didn't think about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this, I remember playing this particular era for the first time. The first time you play a game, you're a little edgy. There are a few things that you don't really know. The mechanics are kind of new to you, so you're afraid to take risk. And this game was one of those games that kind of put me in a situation where I felt like I was very, very. I felt forced to take some risks and I made mistakes. And at the end of the day, you know, it still provided that authentic feel that you get from the first time you play a video game that you are already a fan of or you were a fan of before you even played it, if you get what I mean. So, what other games have you found yourself in that situation where you're just playing the game and you're not just excited, you're also fidgety because you don't want to mess it up.
Well, it's basically any stealth type game like a Splinter Cell. That's a perfect
Mm,
example.
mm,
Sam frickin' Fisher, and it's like you are this apex predator. Like you are the shadow, you are the stealth master. However you want to spin it, and you want to embellish that as much as possible. So, like, I would take when I first played the very first Splinter Cell. It was one guard that I sat there for almost 5 minutes watching his rounds. So then
mm,
I could, find the appropriate time to take him down. And I didn't even need to go through that, but it was just being immersed in the world and trying to really take in every single thing about Splinter Cell, what they were, trying to put down and all that. I was trying to pick it up, and I found myself geeking out so hard. It's like, okay, I'm gonna sit there, and when he pulls out his cigarette, that's when I'm gonna get him. It's like, no, just go behind him. It's stupid AI. He's not gonna hear you. Just go up there and just knock him out. but but
uh,
that's me being a dungeon master, like taking in the setting, taking in the ambiance, taking in the background noise or the environmental noise or whatever. So I don't know, I get lost in a lot of stuff where a lot of normal people is like, okay, well, it's just a game to play. It's like, okay, to me it's an experience that I'm going through, because anybody can just play a game, but like, what
hmm.
experience did you get from it? That's my main thing.
That's cool. That's cool. I'm glad you mentioned Splinter Cell because perhaps when I say this, you'll probably buy the next Batman game when I say this. And the guy that actually is the creative director for the game Gotham Knights, right? He is he was an Ubisoft guy. He worked at Ubisoft Studios and he worked as one of the big dogs in delivering one of the Splinter Cell multiplayers. Believe it or not, his name is Patrick Redding. So he's gonna be he's the creative director of Gotham Knights, the new game that's coming out next year. And when I heard his name and when I saw Gotham Knights, I said there's something similar about this game to an Ubisoft game, and I feel like I've played something similar about it before. I don't know if it's the way they have the stealth mechanics written, if it's the way the font and the way they have the XP meter, because that game is gonna be the way they presented it was gonna be like an RPG game, like traditional, where you see XP meters, you see health bars. Well, there were no health bars for everyone, but something like that. And I said, this game gives me some Ubisoft vibes. Let me go and look at the LinkedIn page of this guy. I looked at the LinkedIn page, and he had worked Ubisoft almost all his career until in 2014 when they hired him at Warner Brothers Games Montreal, and he's going to be shipping this game. So that stealth mechanic, I genuinely think, is going to be a big part of the new game. So I don't know if that puts your mind to rest or if that warms you a little bit more to the game, but I think it's really interesting that that is a an aspect of the game that we're going to be seeing.
Oh man, yeah. If I don't have anything gaming wise pressing to do, that will definitely be a day one purchase now. It wasn't up until just then, because I'm big on stealth games. I love pretty much, unless the game is absolute trash, I will like and play almost any stealth game. So yeah, I'm definitely more excited now, because I was cautiously excited for Gotham Knights, but
Mm,
now, yeah, now I'm excited.
yeah. So I guess that's that's really interesting. Now, even worse or even crazier, I guess I should put it that way. On his LinkedIn, he lists a game that he was working with in an Ubisoft studio, but it's an unannounced title. Now, if you've been following the wires or the cables that have been coming out of Ubisoft, you'll see that there have been all these talks about another Splinter Cell game, and so far it seems like this other Splinter Cell game is something that Ubisoft has been tweaking and fine tuning for so many years. And I think that's what we're seeing, and that's what we're gonna. I think that's what he was working on before he left, was another Splinter Cell game, because he played a role in delivering a huge aspect of the first, the first, not the first, but one of the major Splinter Cell games. And I can't off the top of my head remember and tell you right now, because I'll have to go look it up. But hey, if he was working on that other game and eventually left, perhaps that game was going through development. They call it that development, never-ending development cycle. So perhaps that was going through that, that issue, and so it was probably an opportunity for him to leave and go spread his wings somewhere else. But I think that's where he is probably cut his teeth in the industry, is doing Ubisoft games and all that stuff. So that's pretty interesting that you like Splinter Cell and all that stuff, and the fact that a Ubisoft guy who worked on Splinter Cell is doing Gotham Knights, it has now changed your entire outlook on the game.
Yeah, well, that's just how much Splinter Cell really changed my outlook on stealth games, period. Because up until that point, there was some stealth games out there, but nobody really brought it home like Splinter Cell did, because you had that, you lived in the
Mm.
world of spycraft and stuff like that, and they even put a little backstory. They just didn't have just a bio like, okay, well, Sam Fisher, blah 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 blah. No, they extrapolated that out further and really dug into his backstory, and his daughter Sarah and all this other stuff. So they really add a lot of I like to say meat and potatoes to the
Mm.
character. It gave it depth. It gave you something to care about the character. He's just not this brainwashed super spy that just does missions, and when he gets done, they just put him back on ice. Oh, sounds like Winter Soldier. Anyway,
uh,
but yeah, they just gave him some backbone, some substance, and I really really like that about Sam Fisher. And even though he had been changed, voice acted, you know, time here or there, still the look and the persona and just the aura of confidence, like, I'm Sam Fisher and I'm a badass and I know it, but he don't go in like tooting his horn. He just knows that he's a badass, and
hmm
that's what makes him even more of a badass, because he knows it, but he know that he don't have to say it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
I I'm not big on Splinter Cell, which is crazy that I like Batman and the stealth, but I don't know what it was with the Splinter Cell. I think stealth games for me are just not my strong suit. So usually I find myself in a place where if a game's not my strong suit, I just I just leave the game alone, which is probably not the smartest thing to do, but at the same time, you know your strengths and you know your weaknesses, and so you want to approach things from that, you want to approach things from that direction or that directive. And so I pretty much, played Splinter Cell for I think about a few hours in, and then I just stopped. I just thought, is this even worth me trying to learn the systems? But now looking back on how I played Arkham and how I was able to still go through this game and still enjoy it, it just I think it went to show that I still have a lot of I still have a lot of learning to do when it comes to understanding the games that I do like playing, if you get what I mean. Because I've snobbed many games, and in some cases I finally come back and realized I was snobbing those games prematurely. And I like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, when I don't know if I was telling you guys a story today where I just said to myself, man, how did I just snob this game? This was such a good game. How could I have been so, you know, so shallow and not looking at the game from, from a perspective of what does this game have to offer. And so it's nice to be able to kind of just talk about these things with someone else, and kind of gain some extra insight to just see, there are things about games now where I can almost tell you if I pick up Splinter Cell right now, I'll most likely, you know, play from a different direction, play from a different angle, and actually enjoy it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because as we get older, or circumstances change in our lives, not only does things change in our lives, but also our gaming taste will change. There may be a game that you loved
Hmm.
10, 15 years ago, and you come back to and say, oh man, I can't wait to play this game again. And you go back to, it's like, what the hell was I thinking when I played this game? I
Hmm.
thought this game was awesome. This is garbage, or something that, like you said, you may have, snubbed it years ago, years back, and then you come back to it again. It's like, huh, game isn't as bad as I thought it was. So it's just, that's just life. It's not even about gaming. It's just life. Our tastes change, our environments change, and so many things just change along with it. So yeah, it's just the nature of the beast. And you know, like I said, I wasn't big on stealth games. I was all about guns blazing and all that stuff. But when I saw Splinter Cell, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So yeah, it was the same thing.
Hmm. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So the free flow combat aspect of this game, and I feel like this is something that we need to really touch on because that's one thing that really made this game stand out. And I think in this place I'm about to pop open some fight sequences going in, and I want you to just comment on, what you're seeing from the combat sequences, from the moves, from the way the combo system works. Is it cheesy? Is it cheeky? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. First time I seen the very first Batman and doing the free flow combat, it did look very, very gimmicky. It looked very, not over the top per se, but it's like, okay, I know Batman is pretty quick, but
Hmm.
he's not that fast. He don't have no superhuman strength or speed or anything. But then I had to look at it from a kind of like a fighter's tactical standpoint. Sometimes, like when you get in the zone, sometimes it looks as the fighter is fighting, enemies or their opponents do move slower
Hmm.
because they got this adrenaline rush. So it looks like to them they can almost see the punches come in, and then they can counter correctly. So having a mindset not so closed in, it can let me look at certain situations a little bit differently to somewhat make them make sense. So yeah, at first I had a problem with it, but I'm like, well, Batman is Batman, and he is a great prodigious fighter. I mean, the guy knows a almost unexhaustible amount of fighting techniques and stuff like that. So, who's to say that he hasn't had his mind tuned to where he can quote unquote slow down time and make things look slow and stuff like that. So,
Hmm.
and plus at the exact same time he's got to be a realist. Hey, it's a video game. It's all based in fiction. So just enjoy it for what it is, just like wrestling. You know it's a bunch of people out there flopping around and screaming like boys and girls on a schoolyard, yelling way louder than what they need to. It's entertainment, so just
Very
look at
true.
it as, yeah, just look at it as entertainment and enjoy it for what it is.
You know what's crazy? I on the other hand, I'm crazy about this combo system. You have no idea. Like the combos, the combat system to me, I just have not played anything as good as it. Now, yes, there are things that are just highly embellished that are just not possible. But I don't think this game was going for realism. It was going for comic style fighting fun.
Yes.
And it achieved that on, in my opinion, one of the better levels than that we've seen, that I had seen anywhere in the first place. And it also kind of still kept some of those cutenesses, or I would say cute things from the old Batman games. You know, the PS2 Batman games and stuff. I
Yeah.
don't know if you remember. Yeah, you know, I got a copy of Batman Vengeance. I'd never played it before, but me and my kids were messing around with it because we got a PS2, and it was so interesting to see. Wow, it's crazy how the legacy of the fighting got carried over, even to the better and well developed and better tech Arkham games, if you get what I mean.
Right.
So that was really interesting. And then before we wrap up this episode, there's a huge plot twist here that you're watching, and Batman's already been blank. He's already blanked out here, and there's a transition to another character. This is very um, this style of writing. You're going to see it in Arkham Knight, but so far, did you feel a sense of a cliffhanger when Batman gets knocked out and now it's a whole nother character? Did you feel that sense of a cliffhanger? Because it's like, where's Batman? Now you have Catwoman. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do in this instance?
Well, I won't say a cliffhanger, but it does kind of get you because you're already in that mindset. Okay, you're Batman. You're doing Batman things, and now all of a sudden, oh, Catwoman. So it throws you off for a split second. Like so now all of a sudden now you're thinking, okay, what are her moves again? What was my favorite combo with her? So it keeps you on your toes because a lot of people complain with action games. Oh well, it's just mindless button mashing. But with this, you don't have that because you have your sections of action, but then you
Mm,
got your sections of stealth. You got your sections that when Batman does his investigations, and now you have another layer upon that when you have a whole other character, and you have to learn their move sets and any special abilities they have. So it's like that proverbial saying. It's like an onion. You know, you constantly peeling back layers. The more you peel back, the more you find.
mm,
So yeah, cliffhanger, not really, but just the simple depth of gameplay from like just the regular. Okay, we'll go through your tutorial, and now you enter the sprawling world and all these side quests. And of course, you don't have to do the side quests, but how they have the side quests set up, it weaves it into the game itself. It's not something that's tacked on, and that's what a lot of games suffer from when they have. Oh yeah, you got like 30 side quests. Okay, well, how many of those side quests actually mean anything?
mm.
Maybe two or three. So then the rest of them are just filler. But with these, with Batman, you don't have that like the Riddler riddles and stuff like that, the puzzles.
Yeah.
It's woven into the Batman universe. It's not just some random Joe Schmo coming out of nowhere. No, this is one of Batman's rogue gallery, and
Oh
he's
yeah.
doing what he does, and it's woven into the story. So that's like just super cool. So I wish more game developers would have taken more notes about that aspect from this game.
And I'm glad you said that with more game development developers. And this is where I think I had a critique for Marvel Spider-Man. Now I know that's your, that's you're a little bit on your not too much. I mean, you're an X-Men guy, but it's on the Marvel side. And I thought, when they introduced Felicia Harding, uh, Black Cat in the DLC, I thought that would have given an opportunity for us to be able to play with her, play using her character, because in Arkham City and even in Arkham Knight, they didn't shy away from having us play as Catwoman. You feel me? They didn't shy away from letting us play a little bit as other characters as well. And I thought, Felicia Harding was going to be, oh man, we get to play as Black Cat in a video game. Because this was Insomniac making this in the 2018 era, time. And I thought, I mean, with Batman having done that years prior, I mean, why would Insomniac not do it? But then they didn't do it. They did a little tag team style thing where she and Peter Parker went after some villains and stuff, where both of you were kind of watching, making sure that the villains weren't like seeing the other person and all, but that was just a slice of something that they did in Arkham Knight. Arkham Knight, you got to fight, simultaneous combat with two people. You know what? Let me not spoil that. Yeah, let me not spoil that for you yet. Let me not that you're not supposed to have known that, but it's interesting to see that that's something that they didn't necessarily, uh, you know, they didn't necessarily consider when it came to the Spider-Man games. But here, Rocksteady had already done it in 2000 and what 11. I mean, that's crazy that they were that much forward thinkers. And I'm glad you're saying all this stuff, because what you're doing is you're making and opening my eyes to how good the developers have been able to weave things in. And I've been a little shaky on what they're going to be able to do with Suicide Squad, but just looking at how you're describing the rogue gallery and all these things, I think they are so gutsy to actually go into a rogue gallery and actually use rogues in the gallery as their main. Isn't that crazy? As the main subjects of their game, and use the superheroes as the bad guys. That is gutsy, I must tell you.
Yeah. I mean, just the combat here alone. Batman's got his move set. She's got her move set. It's You're playing the exact same game, but you're playing it two different ways right now because you know how Batman flows and moves and hits and jumps and all that. Now you got to learn a whole new thing. I mean, yes, the combo buttons are set up the same, but
Hmm.
she does different animations. Maybe she's a little quicker. Maybe she's a little slower. Maybe she
She's
has a
both. She's quicker and slower in some cases. It's so uniquely done. Like one instance, she can move very slow, and then the next thing you know, she could just speed up and just take out like two people. It's weird how she fights, and you are right. It's a very different button mapping too. And so yes, what you said is actually very correct. Man, that's crazy. It's so cool to do this. It's so cool to be able to kind of see this from another person's perspective. And for those of you who are Batman fans, I mean, I don't know if you're seeing all this stuff as I'm seeing it. I've played these games so many times. It's been so many years since they came out. But right now, it's actually really interesting to see how we're going to, be looking at these games once, Gotham Knights comes out. Because Gotham Knights is not going to be able to live away from the shadow of what these games have been able to accomplish. It's impossible. So I'm glad we got to do this episode and just, get to the part where Catwoman actually is and talk about the way Rocksteady invested into all of this. So we're gonna close this episode out. We're gonna move on to other aspects of the game in a future episode. So stay tuned. If you have any comments, if there's anything that really stood out to you, or anything that you feel like we need to touch on or will be interesting in a discussion session, leave it in the comment section. I'm a comment person. I read comments. Mr. Fat Ninja DM also is huge on reading comments. We would love to take your feedback on all of that. So thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate you guys a lot, and hopefully we'll see in another video and a walk through Batman Arkham City. Peace out.